Männen haben Obendenken. Und so gut oder dein. Ik zou vinden details te vervinden. Guten te besparen leven. Strategie on. Finden diepen fluxen videoen.
Well, hey everybody. My name is Chris McCord. I think I'm hilarious, but really I have self-loathing, but that doesn't mean I don't like to listen to my own jokes. Now, before we get started talking about Anselm's ontological argument, let me tell you about something that happened to me in the 1990s. Or was it the 80s?
You're going to jumping shark or you were deinen buzzing wooden.
Now, in the 1980s, I once got tricked into going to a marijuana party. It was hilarious, everybody. Well, anyway, this guy tried to give me a piggyback ride, and I didn't know what to do. I said, "You put me..."
Anselm was an Italian philosopher, and he was a Benedictine monk. And from 1093 on, he became Archbishop of Canterbury. Therefore, Lord, you who give knowledge of faith, give me as much knowledge as you know to be fitting for me, because you are as we believe, and that which we believe. And indeed, we believe you are something greater than which cannot be thought. Or is there no such kind of thing? For the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. But certainly, that same fool, having heard what I just said, something greater than which cannot be thought, understands what he heard, and what he understands is in his thought.
Yeah, if the atheist says he doesn't know what the word God means, well then Anselm's reply is, well, if you don't know what the word God means, you've got no business saying there's not one.
Even though he does not think it exists. For it is one thing for something to exist in a person's thought, and quite another for the person to think that thing exists. For when a painter thinks ahead to what he will paint, he has that picture in his thought, but he does not yet think it exists, because he has not done it yet. Once he has painted it, he has it in his thought, and thinks it exists because he has done it. Thus, even the fool is compelled to grant that something greater than which cannot be thought exists in thought, because he understands what he hears, and whatever is understood exists in thought. And certainly that greater than which cannot be understood cannot exist only in thought, for if it exists only in thought, it could also be thought of as existing in reality as well, which is greater. If, therefore, that than which greater cannot be thought exists in thought alone, then that than which greater cannot be thought turns out to be that than which something greater actually can be thought, but that's obviously impossible. Therefore, something than which greater cannot be thought undoubtedly exists in both thought and reality.
So, either God only exists in our minds, in other words, atheism is true, or God exists in both the mind and reality. In other words, we have an idea of God, but there really is one out there that matches our idea. And that would be theism, religious belief. When Da Vinci imagines the Mona Lisa, it's only in his mind. But after he's painted the painting, well, then it exists in his mind, but it's also in reality. Now, God is by definition the greatest conceivable being, the greatest being that you can imagine. But if God is the greatest conceivable being, he gets the best of every good property. But that means that you have to include existence in your idea of God. But that means God exists. In other words, if he's all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-good, but he's fake, then that's not the greatest conceivable being. Then you could think of something better than the best thing you can think of. That doesn't make sense. That's a contradiction if I say I can think of something better than the best thing I can think of. So that's why God exists by definition. Just like a bachelor is an unmarried male by definition, God exists by definition according to Anselm. Now, I guess I better finish delivering presents, but
God is defined as perfect. Non-existence, not existing, is an imperfection. But a perfect being can't have an imperfection. This is a contradiction. Therefore, God exists. That is, he, by definition, can't have non-existence as a property.
see, back to that joke, what happened was I accidentally pushed this guy off the roof a couple of Christmases ago, and now every time around this year I start gaining weight and a beard grows. No, but listen, back to the point. Think about it this way. A supreme pizza has the best of every good topping. Well, that's what it means to be supreme. Well, the supreme being gets the best of every good property, all powerful, all knowing, all good. Now the question becomes, do you give him existence as a property or non-existence? Well, it's greater to have existence, being all powerful, all knowing, all good, but fake. That's not the greatest being you can imagine. That's not God. That's Todd or Schmod. God minus one, because you're not giving. God, by definition, has the best of every good property. But if you don't attribute existence to God, you're not giving God the best of every good property. So that's how we know God exists. And that's how we know Daya pizza is delicious. All you do is, forget it.
Strategum. Truth. Le dictionary.
God, the supreme or ultimate reality, such as the being perfect in power, wisdom, and goodness, who is worshipped, as in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism, as creator and ruler of the universe.
Godolfo, Godard, Jean-Luc Godard. God.
So God is by definition a perfect being. But that means, since you have to exist to be perfect, God by definition exists. Proof God exists.
Perfectum. If I say soon, Cici. Just existence. Of self. God is definitionem. Perfection. Therefore, God exists. That's existence. Correctum, or all is lost. Yeah? Go? Torsius.
Call me crazy, but that sounds more like an objection to the ontological argument. A contemporary of Anselm, the monk Caunilo, objected as follows. Anselm's line of argument will allow us to prove the greatest conceivable anything exists. For example, substitute the word island for being in Anselm's argument. Perfect island argument is as follows. perfect island is by definition perfect. Not existing is an imperfection, a defect. Therefore, the perfect island by definition exists.
Supremes